I tried to seduce my roommate, but he thought I was sleepwalking. I've done a lot of embarrassing things in my life. Once, I sent a screenshot of a guy's Instagram profile to the guy whose profile it was. Another time, I cried during a group presentation about the water cycle. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to the night I tried to seduce my roommate, and he thought I was sleepwalking. In my defense, it wasn't supposed to happen like that. His name is Jacob. He moved in after my old roommate, Julie, broke her lease and ran off to Paris to find herself. Jacob was supposed to be temporary, a friend of a friend, just for a few months until he found his own place. That was 8 months ago. He was easy to live with, polite, clean, always replaced the milk. He had a soft spot for documentaries about space and never wore socks that matched. And he was hot, like unfairly hot. The kind of hot that made you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. The kind of hot that made your friends whisper, "Is he single?" before they'd even said hello. But more than that, he was kind. He once fixed the sink without being asked. Always offered to walk me home if I stayed out too late. Laughed at my dumb jokes, even when I knew they weren't funny. And worst of all, he never made a move. Not even once. So naturally, I took that as a challenge. It started with tiny things. I bought new pajamas, not the oversized t-shirts I usually wore, but the cute silky kind with delicate straps and shorts that made sitting on the couch feel like a low-budget perfume ad. I lingered in the kitchen more, walked barefoot, let my laugh stretch a little too long at his jokes. Once I casually asked if he thought it was crazy that two friends could suddenly end up dating. He just blinked at me and said, I guess anything's possible, which was not the answer I was hoping for. So then came the night. We'd had wine, 2 glasses each. He was on the couch, half watching some true crime docuseries, half scrolling his phone. The mood was chill, easy. I slipped away for a second, changed into the good pajamas, let my hair down, checked myself in the mirror 3 times, and then padded into the living room like I hadn't rehearsed it in my head 10 times already. He looked up when I walked in. "Hey," he said, smile soft. "Couldn't sleep?" That's when I should have told the truth. Should have said, "No, Jacob, I'm actually wildly into you, and I would very much like to kiss your mouth and see what happens after." Instead, I said absolutely nothing. I just walked over, sat beside him, leaned in slowly, like slow motion in a cringy teen drama, and rested my hand lightly on his chest. He froze. He said, clearing his throat. "Are you okay?" I blinked up at him. "I'm very okay." "You're sleepwalking, aren't you?" I stared. "Because I've read about this. You're not supposed to wake people up when they're sleepwalking, right?" I blinked again. "I'm not sleepwalking, Jacob. Oh." He paused. Oh, his eyes widened, horrified. Were you trying to? Seduce you? Yeah, I was." He made a sound. A small panicked sound like a hiccup, and a laugh had a baby. He nearly knocked over his wine trying to sit up straighter. "Okay. Wow. Okay." He ran a hand through his hair. "You're not sleepwalking." "Nope." "Right," he laughed awkwardly. "Wow, you really thought this through, huh?" I stood, flustered, grabbing a throw pillow just to have something to hold. "Forget it. It was dumb. Let's pretend I was sleepwalking." But before I could storm out like the rom-com heroine I definitely wasn't, he reached out and gently tugged the pillow from my arms. "You really like me?" he asked, his voice lower now, softer. I looked up at him. "Yeah," I said, "I really do." And the look on his face, God, it wasn't shock or awkwardness or even amusement. It was relief. "Okay, good," he said, like he'd been holding his breath. "Because I've been trying not to fall for you since the 3rd week you let me live here." We didn't kiss that night. Not because we didn't want to, but because it was late and we were tipsy, and maybe we needed to sit in the moment a little longer. Let it be real before it got messy. Instead, we stayed on the couch, my legs across his lap, his fingers tracing gentle shapes over my knee, some true crime doc forgotten in the background. And for once, I didn't have to plan anything. He looked at me like I was already his. 3 days later. It was early. The sun had just barely begun to warm the windows. I was barefoot, again, hair messy, wearing the most unflattering hoodie I owned. I'd shuffled into the kitchen in desperate search of coffee. So had he. We met at the counter, both reaching for the same mug. My hand brushed his. He froze. I froze. "You can have it," I said quickly, but he didn't let go. "I don't want the mug." he said quietly. I looked up, half asleep. What? I want you. I blinked. Once, twice, and then his hand was cupping my cheek, thumb brushing just under my eye like I was something warm he'd been reaching for in the dark. He leaned in slowly, carefully, like he was giving me the chance to back away. I didn't. The kiss was soft. No fireworks, no dramatic music, just coffee breath and sleepy smiles and his hand steady at the back of my neck like he'd been waiting for this without even knowing it. It was a beginning. Not a perfect one, but ours. The thing about falling in love with your roommate is that you never really get a break from it. There's no see you later or text me when you're home. There's no dramatic kiss goodbye at the end of a date. There's just dirty dishes and missing socks and arguments about which Netflix show to binge. 3 days after our first kiss, I woke up to find Jacob brushing his teeth in the hallway mirror, shirtless, hair a mess, humming to himself like it was just another Tuesday. And suddenly, I couldn't remember how to walk past him without staring. He caught my reflection and grinned, foam still in his mouth. Morning. God help me. I smiled back. Morning. We hadn't talked about what we were. Not really. The kiss happened, and we just slipped into this soft rhythm. Mugs shared, blankets tugged back and forth on the couch, his hand resting on my knee while we watched TV like it belonged there. It was domestic, sweet, uncomplicated, until she showed up. Her name was Maya. She knocked on our door around 6 p.m., looking like she'd just stepped out of a Pinterest board titled Effortless But Hot. Big curls, red lips, denim jacket slung off one shoulder. Hey, she said when Jacob opened the door. Still got my charger? My eyebrows lifted. Still? Jacob looked surprised, but not in a bad way. Oh, yeah, right. I forgot you left that. He stepped aside to let her in. I was sitting cross-legged on the floor, trying to force my brain to focus on my laptop instead of the way Maya's hand lingered on his arm when she stepped past him. You have guests? She asked, finally noticing me. Just my roommate, Jacob said easily. Roommate. Not the girl I kissed last week. Not the one I sleep 10 feet away from and think about way too often. Just roommate. I smiled tightly. Hi. Maya smiled back. Cute pajamas. I looked down. They were oversized and covered in cartoon cats. Great. She wandered into the kitchen like she'd been here 100 times before. You still drink that hazelnut stuff? Jacob chuckled. You're the one who got me into it. Oh, okay. So they had history. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. I closed my laptop, stood up, and walked into the kitchen. I didn't know we had visitors. Maya turned, holding the mug he usually made me tea in. Just dropping by. We used to date. She said it casually, like it didn't matter. Like it didn't feel like she just body-checked me with her perfectly manicured nails. Jacob, to his credit, looked slightly alarmed. A while ago. Not that long ago, Maya said with a wink. The mug in her hand made a soft clink when she set it down. Anyway, thanks for the charger, Jacob. We should catch up sometime. She leaned in, hugged him, not a normal friend hug. It was one of those slow, slide-into-you hugs with cheek kisses and too much lingering. Then she turned to me with a sugary smile. Nice meeting you. Roommate. She left 5 minutes later. I was in the kitchen, aggressively stabbing a tea bag into my mug. Jacob walked in, scratching the back of his neck. That was unexpected. Is that what you call your exes showing up in lipstick and drinking your hazelnut tea? Unexpected? He leaned against the fridge, watching me. You jealous? I scoffed. Of course not. Why would I be jealous of a girl who looks like she belongs in a rooftop perfume ad and casually reminds people she's been in your bed? He didn't say anything for a moment. Then, quietly, but so seriously I forgot how to breathe, he said, You don't have to be jealous. I want you. I looked up. Then say it, I whispered. I want you. Say I'm not just your roommate. You're not, he said. You never were. Silence. And then he crossed the space between us. His hand cupped the back of my neck. I didn't know how to say it before. I didn't want to make this messy. It already is, I said. Yeah, he agreed, voice rough, but it's ours. And this time when he kissed me, it wasn't careful. It wasn't shy. It was the kind of kiss that makes your knees go stupid and your heart sprint toward your throat.